Have you ever wondered whether your life is destined or whether you're creating it through your own free will? Most people assume those are opposing ideas. If one is true, the other can't possibly be. Either your life has already been mapped out before you were born, or every choice you make is completely up to you. But what if that entire debate is based on a misunderstanding? Most of us think of destiny as a fixed sequence of events. We assume that if something is destined, it's out of our control. At the same time, we think of free will as the ability to choose our own path and shape our own future. If that's true, then destiny and free will can't both exist. One has to cancel the other out. But what if both of those definitions are incomplete? What if the apparent contradiction only exists because we're looking at reality from one level of consciousness? The confusion comes from comparing two things that exist on different levels of consciousness. But they're not competing with each other. They're actually working together. Destiny and free will aren't opposing forces at all. They're actually complementary forces, each operating from a different level of consciousness. Once you see that distinction, the contradiction simply dissolves. What first appears to be a paradox becomes one of the most empowering ways of understanding your life and how reality actually works. So let's start by looking at what destiny and free will actually are. Most people think of destiny as a fixed sequence of events. They imagine that somewhere, somehow, their entire life has been written. Every success, every setback, every relationship, every opportunity already exists as part of a script they're destined to follow. They ask, am I destined to meet this person? Am I destined to get this job? Am I destined to become wealthy? Am I destined to become ill? We treat destiny as though it's a collection of future experiences waiting for us somewhere out there, already decided before we ever arrive. But that's not what destiny is. Before you came into this physical life, your higher self made the choice to experience a physical life. But that choice wasn't about every event you would experience, every person you'd meet, every decision you'd make. It chose something much bigger than that. It chose the overall theme it wanted to experience and explore during this lifetime. That word theme is really important because it's where so much confusion begins. Most people hear the word destiny and immediately think of a predefined script, as if everything's been decided. If that were true, then free will couldn't exist. We'd simply be actors following a script. That's not how it works. Think about your favorite movie. Every great story has a central theme. It might be courage. It might be forgiveness. It might be freedom. It might be learning to trust yourself. The theme gives the story its direction, but the theme isn't the story itself. Thousands of completely different stories can explore exactly the same theme. Different characters, different circumstances, different challenges, different endings. Yet they're all exploring the same underlying theme. Your life works the same way. Your higher mind, your higher self, chooses the theme, and your physical life becomes one of the infinite ways you can express that theme. That's why two people can both be exploring abundance while living completely different lives. One may build a successful business. One may travel the world with very little money and discover that abundance was never about finances in the first place. Their definition of abundance is completely different. The experiences are unique and individual, but the theme they're exploring is exactly the same. The same is true if your theme is exploring the concepts of love, creativity, leadership, compassion, independence, limitation, or self-worth. There isn't only one way for those themes to unfold. There are countless ways to experience them because the theme provides the direction, not the details. The details are the domain of the free will. Once you begin looking at your life from that perspective, something interesting starts to happen. You begin to notice that while the circumstances in your life may keep changing, there is often an underlying thread of recognition that never really goes away. Different jobs may present the same lesson from a different angle. Different relationships may challenge you in similar ways. Different opportunities may keep asking you to grow in the same general direction. On the surface, they appear to be completely unrelated, but underneath them is the same invitation to explore more intimately the theme your higher self originally chose. That's why destiny isn't a list of events waiting to happen to you. Destiny is the deeper purpose those events are serving. It's the reason your higher self chose to tell that story in the first place. Free will, on the other hand, comes into play in the infinite ways you can choose to experience that theme throughout your physical life. Every moment you're making choices, not just about what you do, but about who you choose to be. You're choosing whether to meet uncertainty with fear or curiosity, whether to approach challenges with confidence or self-doubt, whether to define yourself by your past or the person you choose to become. Those choices shape your beliefs, your perceptions, and ultimately the version of reality you experience. This is why two people can live through almost identical circumstances, yet walk away with completely different lives. One person may see every obstacle as evidence that life is working against them. Another may see the very same obstacle as an invitation to grow beyond the limits they once believed defined them. The event itself isn't what creates the experience. The meaning each person gives to it is. Your beliefs and perceptions are what determine how you experience reality. They determine what opportunities you notice, how you respond to the people and events around you, and which probable future you naturally align with. The theme remains the same, but your experience of that theme looks completely different depending on the choices you continue making in every moment. That's why free will is never about escaping your destiny, because you're the one who chose that destiny in the first place. It's about deciding how you'll experience it. You can resist the very theme your higher mind chose, or you can embrace it. You can move through it with fear or with trust. You can fight every lesson along the way, or begin seeing each one as an opportunity to learn and grow. Generally, if you feel resistance in your life, it's because you're making decisions that are against the grain of your natural flow. We often find ourselves experiencing the same kinds of challenges over and over again. It's not because life is punishing us. It's because we're being shown there is a more aligned way of approaching the same theme we came here to explore. Your higher mind is constantly communicating with you, nudging you back towards that alignment. Those nudges come as intuition, excitement, synchronistic events, or opportunities that seem to appear at exactly the right time. Oftentimes, when we continue moving forward in a direction that isn't aligned with what's in our best interest, those nudges become wake-up calls. The more you ignore them, the louder and more insistent those wake-up calls become. Conversely, when you're moving in alignment with the theme your higher mind originally chose, life begins to flow in a very different way. It's not that challenges suddenly disappear, but they no longer feel like you're constantly swimming upstream. You take them in stride and naturally find your way through them. What you need shows up exactly when you need it. The right people, opportunities, and experiences show up because you're making choices that are aligned with who you came here to be. The flow state always guides you along the path of least resistance. And that's what it feels like when your free will is working with your destiny instead of against it. I go into much more detail about finding and living in the flow state in another video. Link is in the description. You might wonder why the physical mind isn't consciously aware of the theme it chose before coming into this lifetime. Well, because if it were, there'd be no point in the journey. It would be like knowing the answer before the question was even asked. My question to the architect. Can you elaborate on the difference between destiny and free will? And here is the sharing. Beloved, the concepts of destiny and free will are not opposing forces. They coexist within the framework of consciousness, influencing how you experience reality and navigate your journey. Destiny provides the overarching blueprint or framework of potential, experiences the self has chosen to explore in this lifetime, while free will empowers you to navigate that framework with intention, creativity, and purpose. Destiny is a harmonic structure, an energetic pattern that exists within the fabric of consciousness. It is not rigid or fixed, rather it is a dynamic field of potential that your soul resonates with. It is the guiding force that shapes your life's journey, encompassing the types of events, challenges, and opportunities that align with your life's purpose. Your soul may enter into contracts or agreements with other souls, outlining the roles and lessons you will encounter together. These contracts are also integral to the theme of your destiny. Free will is the innate ability to make choices, exercise agency, and direct your path within the framework of your life. It is the expression of consciousness that allows you to create the details and richness of physical reality. Free will is seen as a dynamic interaction with the field of consciousness, the mechanism through which you navigate your destiny, responding to the opportunities and challenges presented to you. While destiny outlines the framework of your life, free will empowers you to choose how you engage within that framework. It enables you to respond to challenges in ways that align with the values, beliefs, and aspirations you chose to express within your personality structure. If faced with a challenge, your free will allows you to choose how to respond, whether to learn from it, seek support, or change your circumstances. These choices shape the meaning and outcome of your experiences. Destiny and free will are not mutually exclusive. They work together in a dance of co-creation. They are both two sides of the same coin, interconnected forces that shape your experience of reality. By understanding and honoring the relationship between these two aspects, you can embrace your journey with clarity, purpose, and a deep sense of empowerment. You are not merely recipients of fate. You are co-creators of your own destiny. And so, Destiny and free will are not contradictory, nor do they compete with each other. Destiny is not the opposite of free will. They're complementary expressions of the same creative process, each expressed from a different level of consciousness. Free will is how you choose to express that destiny within this physical reality. One is just a natural extension of the other. Once you see that distinction, the paradox disappears. You stop asking whether your life is destined or whether you have free will, because you realize you've been expressing both your entire life. And you see that your destiny is, in fact, the free will of your higher mind. And with that, we'll bring this to a close. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration. Questions or comments are always welcome. I do read them all. And I've left a question in the pinned comment for any insights that you'd like to offer. If you like the sharing and it resonated with you, please hit the like button because it helps me know if you're inspired by these teachings. For more insights, tap the notification bell to be notified when new videos are released. And thank you so much for listening and for being part of this beautiful community where discovering the interplay between destiny and free will is the key to seeing life through the eyes of the higher mind. Superhuman made simple with the architect.